What's going on, San Antonio? What's going on, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast. It is Thursday afternoon here in San Antonio. My name is Mike Jimenez. That is Joe Garcia. We're now 838 subscribers strong. Absolutely amazing, because the goal is to get to 1,000, right? Remember our goal about 4 or 5 months ago was to get to 500, and now we're adding more and more subscribers, now up to 838. 162 away from having that party, because once we get to 1,000, we're going to celebrate. This is going to be a big show today because we have not one, but we have two guests today. Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs and Ken's Five will join us to talk about the Spurs. As the Spurs wrap up the regular season, only a handful of games remaining in the season, so we'll talk to Jeff about what to expect the rest of the way. And we're going to have James Pledger of San Antonio Sports Star, host of Extra Innings, on the show with us in about 20 or 30 minutes or so to talk about the Houston Texans. It is Pledger's birthday week, so I'm excited for him, and I'm also excited because he got an early birthday gift yesterday from the Houston Texans. Texans trading for Stephon Diggs, a second-rounder for that stud wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills. Now going to be catching balls from C.J. Stroud. Joe, how you doing today, my man?
Doing good. Actually, we might have a double booking here because Jeff thought he was coming on from 10:30 to 10:45.
Okay, well, so we can figure it out.
We can have him and Pledger on at the same time.
So we'll get into that in a moment. You know, whoever wants to get on first, and you have Pledger's number, right? So ask him if he wants to jump on first, because either way, it's perfectly fine. So we're talking Cowboys, we're talking Spurs, we're talking Texans. Lots of stuff to get into today. But before we get going into that, we usually save the entertainment for the end. But last night, I get on Twitter. I stayed off Twitter most of the night last night. And I got on, and I had like 55 alerts. Apparently, I was getting roasted yet again, Joe. I was getting roasted yet again. And the second I walked in the door today, you were giving me crap about it because you were like, I cannot believe you said that about Star Wars. I cannot believe you said that about Big Trouble in Little China. And you're like, what's that other movie you didn't like? The Warriors.
The Warriors.
Okay. So couple of things. I was on Twitter the other day, and Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's Five posted something about Big Trouble in Little China. And you know, I didn't watch movies growing up unless it was a John Hughes movie. I watched Big Trouble in Little China for the first time last year.
You didn't even get through it.
And I thought it was the worst movie I'd ever seen in my life. I also saw the movie Warriors, right? Which was a classic movie from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Now, I will say this. I liked Warriors more than Big Trouble in Little China because of the whole scene of Warriors.
Come out and play.
Come out and play.
That guy with the bottles.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, that movie was awful. But once it got to that part towards the end, that was actually pretty entertaining. So I'm going to say that the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life is Big Trouble in Little China. But wait. No more.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. I have a new worst movie of all time.
Man.
Worst new movie of all time. Last night, my friends and I spent 2 hours and 6 minutes of our life that we're never going to get back watching the new Roadhouse movie on Amazon Prime. It was brutally bad.
Really? Was it that bad?
It was awful. About 30 minutes in, we asked ourselves the question, are we going to just like stop watching? And then we got an hour into it, and we were like, this is the worst movie we've ever seen. Do we give it another hour? But we were already halfway done at that point.
Yeah.
So we had to keep going, hoping that it would get better. Conor McGregor makes an appearance in the movie. And this was just straight up trash.
Garbage.
It was awful. It was awful. If you want to be part of our show, take part in our YouTube stream. We're live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. But if you want to leave a comment, we do read them on right now. I want to see if anyone else has seen this, by the way. Has anyone else seen this Roadhouse movie? Jake Gyllenhaal is in this movie. And I'm not going to give anything away, but it's different from the original, man, because the original took place in Missouri, I believe. And the character of Dalton, played by Patrick Swayze, was an enforcer. He was a bouncer who kind of cleaned up bars and would go from bar to bar to bar. And I guess it's the same concept with Jake Gyllenhaal. But Jake Gyllenhaal, this takes place in Florida. He's a former MMA fighter. It's just ridiculous premise, man. Absolutely ridiculous premise. Now, I will say this, Joe. Jake Gyllenhaal is cut, dude.
No doubt.
That
dude.
guy got ripped for this role. He's a good enough actor. There's a lot of movies I've seen of him that he's pretty decent, right? But in this movie, straight up trash.
Well, somebody put in the comments here. Look at what they said. Chris Gonzalez. It's Jake Gyllenhaal movie. He's not a lead actor.
You know, his sister Maggie Gyllenhaal is a better actor.
Oh, no doubt, dude.
Okay, but Jake is fine enough. He was in that creepy movie, like the Night Stalker type movie. That one was pretty good. Okay.
That was a hell of a movie, dude.
That was a great movie where he was the freelance journalist, the freelance photographer, him going around town.
I love that movie because it's so funny, dude. The way he starts off, going to the freaking pawn shop, getting that little hand cam, trying to beat everybody to the news. He's trying to beat the news outlets to the story, with that little hand cam, and you see the evolution of how he gets to where he's at.
Yeah, he gets better cameras, and all of a sudden he's kind of a big deal within the LA TV news circles. But Jake Gyllenhaal's fine. I mean, famously, he was in Brokeback Mountain back in the day. Oddly enough, a movie I've never seen. I've never seen Brokeback Mountain. People have told me in the past it's been pretty good. It was nominated for all these awards back in the day. But last night watching Roadhouse was absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Jake Gyllenhaal playing the role of Dalton. We find out in the movie, by the way, not giving anything away, but Dalton, the big question of Roadhouse lore has been, is Dalton the first name or the last name of that character? And it turns out it's the last name.
All right, so we got Jefe on right now. He's going to join us for a short amount of time. Jeff, you're on.
Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs, Ken's 5. What's going on, Jeff?
Oh, rushing back. It looks like Joe and I got our times confused.
Hey, no, not a problem, baby. We're flexible here. We're flexible.
So,
Rushing.
You missed Mike. He was talking about the worst movie that he's ever seen. And no, it's not Big Trouble in Little China anymore. We have a new entry.
He got dethroned, man. That new Roadhouse movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal on Amazon Prime has got to be the worst movie I've ever seen.
I haven't seen it yet, so it's on my to-do list though. So don't give me any spoilers, Jimenez.
And you're gonna be like, you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, that movie was badass. It has Conor McGregor." I know it, man. You and
let me guess. It's very manly and very testosterone fueled, and that's not good enough for Jimenez, right?
No, the original Roadhouse was manly and testosterone fueled.
Yeah,
this one was just stupid.
Yeah,
it was just stupid.
Can you imagine if they did Roadhouse?
I was against any type of remake of Roadhouse, and the fact that they did it disappointed me.
I was going to say, can you imagine if they did Roadhouse, but it was like all Mexicano actors?
Aren't there Mexican actors in this movie too?
It takes place in Florida, so there are some Latino characters in there.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes, which is an aggregate of reviews.
Do you have
critics.
It on screen right now?
I do.
Let's see.
Right now, 59% of critics liked it. What are they watching? 54% of the audience liked it.
You're the same guy who said The Dark Knight was less than an A, so I gotta see for myself.
The Dark Knight was okay. It was all right.
No, it wasn't all right.
It's one of those things where Heath Ledger gets he gets the award because he died.
No, you're out of your mind. You're out of your freaking mind,
Jimenez. No, but Roadhouse, this Roadhouse, Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And it could be because I love the original so much. After we watched this last night, guess what we did? We watched the original, right? Because we had to get this shit out of our system and just get the real thing, man. So we went and watched the Patrick Swayze version of it all, which was brilliant. Okay. Is the original Roadhouse a good movie, or is it a really good bad movie?
The original
it's a
Roadhouse?
good movie.
It's a good movie.
I'll take any answer for that one. I enjoyed it.
It's a good movie.
It is entertaining.
It's a popcorn flick. You just sit down, you don't ask questions, and you just enjoy the ass kicking that's coming.
And there are a lot of plot holes in that movie by far.
Oh yeah, that's why you don't ask questions.
Like Joe said, you don't ask questions, move on.
What was that hot doctor doing there? I
don't give a damn.
In that small town.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you questioning the hot doctor on the screen, Jimenez?
No, I'm just questioning what's she doing there? Why isn't she in a bigger
Who
city?
cares?
Maybe
it's a hot doctor.
She likes bad boys, man. That's why she was there.
Okay, so can I give away one aspect of it all? Okay, so the original the original Roadhouse, you had Patrick Swayze who had that line, pain don't hurt. Remember? And she's stapling him. Okay, she's stapling him. There's a scene 2 minutes into the new Roadhouse, maybe that's an exaggeration, maybe 5 minutes into the new Roadhouse, where somebody goes out and goes at Dalton, right?
Yeah.
And the idea that he doesn't flinch is stupid. I looked at my friends. I was like, this is already the dumbest movie I've ever seen. 5 minutes into the new Roadhouse.
Look at what Chris Gonzalez says here.
Chris Gonzalez is out on our YouTube stream saying Patrick Swayze is like a man. Jake is just a guy.
That's something you would say.
Okay, is Jake Gyllenhaal just a guy because he was dating Taylor Swift back in the day? But Chris Lehigh reaches out and says, "Don't disrespect Heath Ledger." Very interesting. I'm not saying that Heath Ledger was a bad actor. He was a great actor. I mean, I loved. If there's a movie that Heath Ledger was really good in that I remember watching was Monsters Ball.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Brokeback Mountain.
Never seen that movie. Maybe it's a great.
Oh, Jimenez.
Maybe it's a great movie. I don't know. I've never seen it.
I'll put it on your to-do list.
I'll do a nostalgic review of it. I've never seen it.
Look at this one, Midtown Texas. Jeff. They said MJ hates movies with Mexican actors.
Okay, well, how about this?
Too ethnic.
No, it's not ethnic. How about this? Like, there's that show that comes out with George Lopez. So George Lopez had the George Lopez show back in the day.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it at first because, Mexican American family, it's a blue collar family, but they're doing well for themselves.
Middle class
family. The mom was hot. So I used to watch that show and I was okay with it. Now they have that new show, Lopez versus Lopez, right? It's on season 2.
Yeah.
Why is he the only actor that's Mexican getting roles for leading TV shows?
More popular.
No, do people like that guy anymore?
I don't think so, man.
I think we're all done with him now. Can we go on to?
I gotta say though,
actor?
man, his character in the Blue Beetle movie was pretty damn funny, dude.
The Blue Beetle. I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, Jeff, man.
Yeah, no.
Come get your boy.
Yeah, you know what? If you guys are gonna come at me because of my Big Trouble in Little China take or my Warriors take, which I said, by the way, Warriors.
I just thought it was funny.
My problem with Jimenez is that you didn't give Big Trouble enough of a viewing. Like you didn't. It was leading up. You just ended it. It was leading up to the payoff.
It's just not his thing, dude. It's just not his thing.
Dude, fantasy movies are just. D'Lo reaches out to us and says Charlie Sheen is that Mexican actor that we all know and love. That is true. Charlie Sheen's real last name is Estevez because that's his brother Emilio kept that name. But and I never thought about that. That's a very good point because 2.5 Men was a Mexican American driven show.
The Warriors is a classic.
Now the Warriors, that scene about Warriors come out and play, that was actually a decent scene. Like that elevates it above Big Trouble in Little China. And correct me if I'm wrong, Big Trouble in Little China, that's Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Kurt Russell guy, man. I like a lot of his movies. Dude, I mean, Backdraft was good. I mean, Overboard
Kim Cattrall was in that movie. She was looking pretty good in that movie.
Yeah, dude. Definitely. You know what he said about Star Wars, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I saw that recently.
He said Star Wars is meh. It's just about a guy who has the hots for his sister.
Yeah, that's again from a guy who doesn't really see the big picture.
I mean, the first Star Wars I ever saw was the Jar Jar Binks one.
Yeah.
Oh, Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace. Oh, look who is joining our stream right now. Can we bring them on both at the same time?
Yeah, if you want.
Let's try this technology.
Let's see what I can do. Hold on here. We're going to go ahead and bring Pledge on.
Pleasure. What's going on, my man? How are you doing?
What's happening, guys? How y'all doing?
Happy birthday week. You're on with not only me, but Jeff Garcia and Joe Garcia.
Yeah, that's a bold move, trashing the Star Wars franchise and then bringing both of us on at the same time.
It is.
So we got James Pledger. It is your birthday week, my man. How are you celebrating this weekend?
How am I celebrating?
Yes.
I'm going to go play some golf on Saturday. After that, I'm going to go probably get some chispas at El Mirasol. a little bit of food, and then probably close the day down at the roof pub.
What's he gonna do?
Oh, okay. So Pledger says that he's gonna go play some golf and go to El Mirasol for some lunch, and then end up at the Roo. I forgot about that. There's no streams.
Yeah, lunch will just happen to happen.
Hey, real fast. So we had Joe on, Jeff on earlier. So I wanted to bring in Jeff and ask you a couple questions about the Spurs real fast, and then get Joe Pledger's reaction to it.
Okay.
The season's coming to an end. Handful of games left, and I'm taking a look at Tankathon, and right now, the Spurs' odds of getting the number 1 overall pick have taken a hit. It was at 14% because the bottom 3 teams get it at 14%, but because the Spurs have won a few games, they're now tied with Charlotte for the 3rd worst record, which means that their odds drop from 14% to 13.2. Jeff, let me ask you this question. Were those wins the past couple of weeks worth it?
I mean, considering the draft itself, I mean, sure, as long as they don't fall out of the top 7, top 5, I'm fine with it. It's not like there's a home run in this draft. The thing about it, too, is I'm more concerned about the health of this team. We had Osman go down. We had Wemby take a bad spill in the recent game. Obviously, we know what happened to Vassell and Sohan. So I'm pro shut down Wemby. I'm done. Just shut him down.
Dude, that's the first time you and I have agreed on this in a while, or a topic like this in a while.
Yeah.
You shut him down. Now, a lot of people, I think you were the one who said that Wemby could get that quadruple double last game of the season because we're playing the Pistons, and the Pistons are so bad.
Yeah. I wouldn't it be cool if he does that, because David Robinson got his quad double against the Pistons.
Well, remember when David Robinson went out to win the scoring title and they fed him the ball? Like, what if Wemby was the focal point just to get stats? Just to get stats, right? Like let's get him the 10 assists, let's get him the 10 rebounds, let's get him the 10 whatever. Let's just see if he can just feel the.
You're asking a lot of Spurs, some Spurs players to knock down their shots and be consistent for an entire game. So there's that.
You're also asking the Spurs to do something that you literally crapped on before.
I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened already. I was like, how is it? I think he's going to be the first player to get multiple quad dubs in his career.
I agree with you. Pledger wants to jump in here. I think he's taking some. He doesn't like the fact of the idea of shutting him down. Pledge, what are your thoughts, man?
Oh, I shut him down. Don't shut him down. I don't care. I say keep him going, because I legitimately think, and people are starting to finally turn towards my way of thinking in terms of, doesn't matter how bad this team is, Wemby is singularly great and could and should be the defensive player of the year. Now you're hearing Draymond Green say it, and Ryan Marcello, and different players. Look, the team without the defensive efficiency of this team, with him on the floor and without, is night and day. But in terms of the whole let him chase stats in the final game, you would be doing and okay with doing what San Antonio fans always crushed Russell Westbrook for doing his entire career, which would make you the biggest hypocrites of all time.
Okay, so Jeff, I don't know if you heard that, but Pledger's basically saying that we'd be hypocritical as Spurs fans if we wanted Wemby to go out there and just simply get stats, because that's what Russell Westbrook would do towards the end of the season. He tried to pick up the triple-double. He was out there trying to check mark certain boxes. Pledger's also coming out and saying that there should be even more consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. Wemby already got that 65th game under his belt. What are your thoughts on Defensive Player of the Year? Do you think there's any chance, Jeff, of that happening?
I think it's a strong chance. Ultimately, I don't think it happens. Also, too, as far as shutting him down, that part, for me, it's also compounded by the fact that he has a packed summer. It's done with Spurs season, then on his way to France, training camp with Team France, the preliminary games, friendlies, exhibition games with Team France, then the tournament. I'm expecting them to go deep, considering that's a stacked French team. Then wraps that up, and then what kind of offseason is going to have. So whatever more time you can get him to heal up and rest up, I'm all for that.
So I was taking a look at a couple of things on The Athletic and NBA.com. A lot of the voters are already coming out with their ballots. I mean, I know there's still a week or two left in the NBA season, but they're coming out with their ballots, and every single one that I've seen has Wemby as all NBA defensive first team.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Now, but here's the thing. Every single one of them that I've seen as well, and I've seen 6 ballots so far, none of them have Wemby for first, second, or third team all NBA. Do you think that he's going to get robbed of at least that? Because I think I think he'd be robbed for that, because I believe that as a third team all NBA player, that he deserves at the least that. He didn't get the All-Star bid, but I believe he belongs on an all NBA team. Jeff, what say you?
I'm lost. Can you repeat that all over again? I couldn't understand you.
Okay, so basically, I've seen 6 ballots so far of voters who are naming their first, second, and third team all NBA. I don't think that Wemby's going to get is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think he even has a chance. He'll probably be runner-up. But that being said, I think that him getting third team all NBA, that he should get that consideration, because I'm looking at other players that are projected to be in that third team range. You're looking at a player like Domantas Sabonis. You're looking at Anthony Davis. You're looking at players like Kawhi Leonard. And I think that in totality, what Wemby has done this season is greater than what these guys have done because of what he brings on the defensive end of the game, and that he should be considered for third team all NBA.
I think if it's just a matter of him landing on an all NBA team, he's going to do that. And I think he will. I would have passed him getting the first. I would have passed. I mean, he had, who's Embiid? He's been out for most of the season. Wemby's numbers are just astronomical. He's getting credit, from Joker. The list goes on and on. He has the numbers to back it up, but he will get one of those all NBA teams.
I hope so. Pledge, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, he'll make an all NBA team, but I have a question, because I heard Jeff talk about the Defensive Player of the Year, and he'll be in the running, but doesn't think that he'll get it. Now, do you not think he'll get it because he is undeserving, or because voters are old and stuck in their ways of rookies can't be and win this award?
So, Jeff, Pleasure wants to know if you believe that Wemby won't win the award for Defensive Player of the Year because he's undeserving, or is it because the team is bad, or is it because the voters tend to be older and are kind of stuck in their ways when it comes to how they vote?
I just think, although it is an individual award, they're going to keep in consideration the Spurs' collective defensive stats. I think that's what's going to peg them ultimately, and it's unfortunate because they're going to go away from the fact that it's an individual award. But I think the Spurs just ranking near the bottom of the barrel in defensive stats in the NBA is going to hurt him.
Yeah,
and I think ultimately that's what's going to do it. Again, it's not because he's not deserving. It's just, that defensive rating for the Spurs is horrific. You look at Gobert, whether he's on the floor or off the court for Minnesota, that team remains a power defensive team. So,
wait, Jeff, I know we're coming up against it because you got to record Los, man. But
what are you working on, man? What do you
let
got
us know
going on?
Let us know
What's
what you
on
have on.
Kens5.com.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to talk to Devin Vassell before he was officially shelved, and we had a conversation about where he saw his strengths and improve this season. So that's already up at Kens5.com/Spurs. Also, the Hemisphere organization announced that there's going to be a new covered outdoor basketball court coming to Hemisphere Park next to the original footprint of Hemisphere Arena. Now, they have artist renderings out already. I swear, either they're going to go for a basketball color look or they're hat tipping the old school color scheme of Hemisphere Arena.
Oh, wow.
Because it's the orange ramp colors. And remember, the lobby of Hemisphere was covered in orange and white. And they have an orange, the same shade of the roof that's going to be covering the outdoor court in Hemisphere Park. It's going to be located next to the tower. And then we're going to bring in Dr. Ryan McCorkle for tomorrow's show. We're going to be discussing the injuries, the surgery, the rehab for Vassell and Sohan. There's a lot going on there, but really, seriously, I just dumb luck was able to snag Vassell before he was officially shelved, and we had a good conversation about his season. So it's up right now at kinsfi.com/Spurs.
That's awesome. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Jeff at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter and on Threads. Jeff, thanks for being with us, my man.
Thanks,
Yes,
Jeff.
sir. Yeah, happy birthday, Pledge.
Thank you, buddy.
So, Pledge, talking about, I like the fact that you brought up the fact of the voters, because when I think of the voters, when it comes to the Baseball Writers of America or whoever votes for the Hall of Fame and the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, it reminds me of like Congress, where it's all a bunch of 60 and 70-year-olds who are voting. There's no new blood when it comes to it. And I think you're right. I think a lot of voters are stuck in their ways who will just, even if Wemby does deserve it, just because he's a rookie, won't do it.
I mean, I don't think they're stuck in their ways probably, yeah, stuck in their ways. But also, I know there is new blood when it comes to the voters in terms of just people that have votes like Greeny and, different people. But there is, it's impossible to watch, 82 games a year of 30 teams and every game and every player and every minute. But that's why they make metrics. But the problem is this is an individual award, and a lot of people are looking at team metrics when it comes to it. There are individual metrics like blocks plus steals, which is Wemby has the best and highest differential to the next closest person to him, like in NBA history when it comes to that stat. The stat of them being third in defensive efficiency with him on the floor versus dead last with him off the floor. Like, you can measure a defensive player's efficiency on the game. Look, Rudy Gobert is great. Rudy Gobert also plays with one of the best perimeter wing defenders in Anthony Edwards and one of the best other defenders in Karl Anthony Towns for most of the game. Like, he is surrounded by other great defenders. He is rarely asked to be able to take that task on by himself. Wemby is such a freak that he can alter shots from the paint because of his ability to close out on the outside. And Draymond Green brought this up on his Green Room podcast the other day, talking about there are people who will go into the lane and be like, nope, that should count as a block, because they aren't even attempting to go at him because he is that much of an effect defensively on another team's offense. It's incredible. And I am usually not for like this team suck, but you got to look beyond the traditional stats to see the effect that Wemby has had on this game, and just listen to the players around the league talk about what he's already doing defensively. It's insane to think that this team, which is more an indictment on the rest of this team, can be so horrific defensively without him on the floor, yet so great with him on the floor. It speaks to his individual greatness.
Yeah, we see the night and day difference when Wemby's on the court and when he's off the court. The thing about Rudy Gobert is the fact that they're the number one defense with him on the court, and when he's off the court, they're still the number one defense. So they don't necessarily need him. And like you say, that he doesn't have to patrol 4 or 5 different positions. Like you said, he has Karl Anthony Towns. He has Anthony Edwards there. He has a lot of good defensive IQ players all around him. Now, he does get 2 rebounds more than Wemby per game, but Wemby gets more blocks. Wemby gets more steals. Wemby's being asked to do more. I look at it this way. I think that Wemby really is the defensive player of the year if the season had started January 1. I think the first couple of months kind of hurt Wemby a little bit because Wemby kind of got off to a slower start. He was on a minutes restriction after turning his ankle. I think that has something to do with it a little bit. But at the end of the day, the idea that an individual award is going to be taken away because of what happens when Wemby's off the court makes absolutely no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. That's kind of like saying this player can't get the Cy Young Award because this other guy can't hit home runs. Those are 2 different things, man. 2 absolutely different things. But we're talking to James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star, the host of Extra Innings. They're 6 p.m. Monday through Friday there at San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM.
I want to get Pledger's opinion about this. What do you think about Mike calling Star Wars what he did yesterday. He says, Star Wars, it's about a guy who has the hots for his sister.
I mean,
Look, when it comes to movie takes with Michael Jimenez, I think we've learned from every single movie he's ever tried to review that his reviews are for comedic purposes only. He has no right ever discerning what people should like or not like when it comes to a movie. He has no taste. He has no wherewithal with what actual society deems to be entertaining.
Man, that's why Pledger's my guy. He tells it how it is,
and that's why Pledger's one of my best friends, man, because he doesn't hold back. He doesn't hold back.
The roast of Michael Jimenez.
So first of all,
it's not a roast. I mean, what person in their right mind watched Oppenheimer and went 13 minutes in? This is too slow moving and boring.
Yeah, Oppenheimer was awful. But you know what? What was worse was the new Roadhouse movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. That movie was trash, straight up trash. And I think it's
so. What this is telling me is I should go watch the new Roadhouse movie.
Yes, apparently 59% of critics liked it, and only 54% of moviegoers. Talking to James Pledger, a guy.
Mike is such an awesome movie review critic that he thinks The Flash was the greatest movie ever.
Never seen it, but I'll watch it. Still have to watch Transformers 1986 though. I haven't seen that one yet.
Please don't.
We're gonna get it done, Pledge. We're gonna rent a theater and we're gonna round up the crew and we're gonna go out there and watch it.
I would want to watch it in theaters again, just not with Mike critiquing it through the entire movie about how Optimus Prime's backstory is not believable.
Oh God.
Pledger's birthday. He mentioned going to the Rue Pub. The last time I went to the Rue Pub with Pledger, I believe, or maybe it was the second to last time, you and I did a radio show out there. There was no radio show going on. We did Brian Abed in the morning type of thing where he and I are pretending like we're doing a radio show and people are just looking at us. And we did a whole thing for like 20 minutes.
Oh God.
That was great. That's the relationship that you and I have. Pledge. Who else can you do that with? Can you do that with?
Was it a radio show or we were just having conversation?
No, we were doing an actual radio show. We were teasing in and out. We were doing segues from topic to topic. We were giving updates of certain scores.
How smashed were you guys already that early in the morning?
There's a photo of me smashed at the Rue Pub, and I have my head on Pledger's shoulder.
Oh my!
It was bad.
Looking at me adoringly.
No, try not to pass out is what it was. But talking to Pledger, who is also a Houston Texans super fan. And we brought your name up yesterday that you were like Brian Windhorse because that whole thing where he's like going back and forth, like, wait a minute, something's going on here. When I saw and heard of the trade yesterday, which happened 5 minutes before we went on air yesterday, I thought of you because I was like, you were connecting dots and you were like, something big is afoot because they're clearing up cap space. They traded down in the draft for additional draft capital. What were your immediate thoughts when you saw that the Houston Texans traded a second rounder for Stephon Diggs?
I mean, initial thought is excitement, of course. You get a premier wide receiver in the game, despite kind of the issues he's had in his the exit of his previous two employers. The talent is still there, and it makes the Texans offense just that much more insanely difficult guard as in terms of pick your poison. I had somebody text me yesterday, scale of 1 to 10, what is your thoughts of this trade? And I said 6.5. I mean, it's great value. It's great talent. You worry about kind of the other stuff that happens when there's a reason that he was traded from Minnesota, and there's a reason he was traded from Buffalo for as little as he got in Buffalo at the end. They were looking to get rid of him. But the culture and everything feels a lot tighter there. And if you look at the actual deal, there's 1 year of guaranteed money left at 18.5. That is basically the same deal they tried to swing for Keenan Allen before the Chargers were like, we don't want to play against him. We're sending him to the NFC. So you get kind of the same type of player, only healthier, same type of production level. It's a 1-year deal, basically, if you want it to be. And it's for, you get a 6th this year, a 5th next year, Stephon Diggs, and you only gave up a 2nd next year. It's not even this year's 2nd. Right. So you still have all of your draft capital this year. So it's a great kind of 1 year. Let's see if this works, if he fits in. And speaking of fitting in, I guarantee you they talked to Case Keenum about this. He was in both places with him. Mm-hmm. He was part of the Minnesota Miracle in Minnesota, where he was the #1 receiver along with Thielen. And he was also a backup to Josh Allen in Buffalo when Stephon Diggs was there. So he knows Diggs personally. He knows kind of what he's dealing with, and he can sort through, like, was he a cancer, or is this just things going on, whether it's the organization, whether it's Sean McDermott, whether it's him and Josh Allen just not vibing for whatever reason. He can kind of give some insight into who Stephon Diggs, the person and inside the locker room, is to the rest of that organization, which I think makes it a little more palatable to bring him in.
And let's be honest. Also, the fact that he's going from Buffalo to Houston, he's probably going to like the lifestyle in Houston better than it is in upstate New York. Talking to James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star, we were talking about the second rounder that was given up. That was a second rounder that they didn't have a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second rounder that they got for simply falling in the draft from 23 to 42. They got a second rounder and a second rounder in 2025. That's the one that they're shipping off. So it's not like, really, when I think about it, all they really traded for him was to go down in the draft. That's essentially what it was. And they got draft capital in return in later rounds. And then, as you mentioned, $17 million against the cap. If they do want to keep him at the end of the first year, you're around that $16 to $17 million mark, which for a #1 or 2 receiver of that caliber is not too bad. Now, I know a lot of Cowboy fans were trying to poke holes in this yesterday. They got really defensive. A lot of them did, because they were like, well, he's on the opposite side of 30. His production level went down last year. He gets hurt every once in a while. They're trying to do this. But at the end of the day, I think that a lot of Cowboy fans are looking at the Texans, and it makes them even more pissed off about the fact that the Cowboys have done absolutely nothing this offseason. Do you think
Can I poke a hole in that?
Okay, go ahead.
I understand it makes them pissed off that they're not doing anything, but the narrative that, get rid of Dak and the Cowboys could be able to do something like this, or, the Texans laid the blueprint on how to build a team moving forward and be able to capitalize on a rookie quarterback window. That's all categorically false. There was a comedy of errors that had to take place for the Texans to even be in this place. Your franchise quarterback has to be a complete skis ball to get you to want to trade him. You have to find a team desperate enough to give up the amount of draft capital, the 7 draft picks, 3 first-rounders, multiple third-rounders that the Cleveland Browns ended up giving up in a time when nobody should have given up that kind of capital from him. You had to go into a season in which you sucked out loud with a head coach who wasn't even supposed to be a head coach, replace him with another guy who's not supposed to be a head coach, win the last game of the year in a meaningless year to make sure you don't get the #1 pick to get the quarterback you actually wanted in the first place, luck into the quarterback you wanted, and then have the draft capital to move up and then get the pass rusher and the guy you actually wanted in that draft, hit on almost every pick of that following draft, and then have so many rookie and 1-year minimum type deals that you have the cap space available after clearing the decks for those 2 years, like Caserio did, to be able to make the moves that they've made this offseason. Now, it's not easy. You have to have an entire team built on rookies and vet minimum type guys for the most part to be able to pull off the amount that the Texans have been able to pull off this offseason.
Now, I will get to that in 1 second. Everything you said was true. Everything you said was true about that. Okay.
There's a lot of luck involved.
Like the luck involved was the fact that they got that 20-yard touchdown pass on the last game of the season a couple of years ago. Then they get a 2-point conversion. Lovie Smith getting run out of town because of it. Instead of getting Bryce Young, they get CJ Stroud. And like you're saying, the Deshaun Watson trade, all the draft capital they got from that, and then being able to go up and get the number 3 pick overall as well. There's a lot to be said about that. But the thing about it is this, is that the pushback I have from you on this is that if you look at the last several Super Bowls, probably the last 5 or 6, you had Jared Goff on a rookie deal. You had Patrick Mahomes going twice on a rookie deal. You had Burrow go on a rookie deal. Jalen Hurts went on a rookie deal.
Yep.
So the trend line is you need to have a quarterback who's not making much money to make that happen. And then, by the way, Brock Purdy was on a rookie deal. So you look at it, there's something to be said about the hard reset, because the Cowboys are in a weird situation right now where they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. They're damned if they do re-sign Dak, because Dak isn't going to be that guy that gets him over the hump, and they're going to be paying him $60 million a year. They're damned if they don't, because again, they take that cap hit, and it's a hard reset, and then they have to go find that guy in the draft, and they're going to have to suck for 2 or 3 years in order to make that happen. So they're in a very precarious situation right now when it comes to it. Drew Snow reaches out to us with a $5 super chat saying, quote, Houston should go 5-1 or 6-0 in the AFC South. They should go, barring injuries. Only KC, Ravens, Bills should give them problems in the AFC. 12 or 13 wins. But, here's the thing, Pledge. Have you seen that schedule for the Texans next year?
Yeah, there's no guarantees. That schedule is awful. You've got the Jets who are going to be healthy. You've got the Dolphins. You've got the Bills. You've got the AFC East. You've got to play the NFC North with the up-and-coming Bears now, who are going to have Caleb Williams under center and all of the weapons in the world. You're going to have the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions. You've got a first-place schedule. It's not going to be playing the Falcons and the Panthers, which both of those teams they lost to, by the way, the Saints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, this is a completely different schedule that is befitting of a team that finished first. And while the expectations are high, the road is tougher, which is part of the reason for loading up the way they did. You got to play the Chiefs this year. You've got to play some of the more difficult teams in both conferences, because you've earned that schedule. You were that good. You made those moves, and now you're making the moves to try and capitalize on the success that you have had. So
the Cowboys,
there are still holes to fill within the draft for this team, but they're smaller holes now.
Yeah, you didn't mention the Dallas Cowboys have to go to Jerry World to take on Cowboys, which I believe right there would be a very interesting battle between those two teams, because, man, if the Texans roll into Jerry World and just put a thumping on the Cowboys, I'm just saying, how we have that form going around, the Jeremy Sohan apology form going around? We may need to have like a join the Houston Texans bandwagon.
Oh, I'm ready. Hey, Pledge, what do you think of this? I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
I've been a diehard, lifelong Cowboys fan, but I'm tired of the losing, bro. I said after last season, me and my dad had a serious discussion, and I told him, I'm done. I'm tired of losing. I've believed in this team for a long time, and I'm tired of the losing. I'm ready to.
I mean, it's 3 12-win seasons.
I'm ready to root for a winner, So I've been offered.
So be a Chiefs fan.
Well, they told me, hey, you can join the Bills Mafia. I said, I'm not opposed to the Bills. I like the Bills, but
they're also winning in the regular season and losing in the postseason, just like the Cowboys. You're subjecting yourself to the same thing. The only thing you can do is latch on to a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes. Those are the ways to guarantee Super Bowls.
But this is the thing. I was talking with my dad, and my dad and me we're having a real good discussion, and we're like, look, if we're not going to root for the Cowboys, the Cowboys are going to be my second team. They're going to be my Sancha team. If I'm going to root for somebody, I told him, why not the Texans? We're going to keep it in Texas. And my dad already had some Texans gear. So I think I'm going to be rooting for the Texans this year. I think I'm going to jump ship. I'm going to sign the form. I'm ready.
I've told everybody that wants to, come on, like there's no bandwagon where you want to be a fan, be a fan. I don't care, and a lot of Texans fans don't care. As far as your actual fandom, that's not true. You're gonna cheer for the Cowboys as soon as the season comes around. Once we get into training camp, it's gonna be your year again. But we don't mind if you want to be a fan. Be a fan. We don't have an issue with other fan bases. I like the Chiefs. I've been a fan of the Chiefs because my best friend's a fan of the Chiefs. He's got a great Chiefs fan group down there in Houston that they go watch the games at with little Woodrows. Makes it enjoyable, and I can't wait to actually go to the Chiefs-Texans game for our first game together at Arrowhead, as we're going to make that a thing this year. So, I mean, you're going to be a fan of your team. You could say you're going to divorce them. I guarantee you're going to end up right back at the altar with them come the start of the season. And you could say you're tired of the losing. I'm going to be a Texans fan. What have the Texans fans ever done? They've never made an AFC championship game. Look, I'm a fan. We've been through just as much heartache, if not more, because we don't have the titles from 30 years ago to point to. The arrow is pointing up. It's exciting, but there's no guarantee. There's a lot of luck involved, along with skill, when it comes to winning an NFL title. And I'm hoping that we can get to that. But they're putting themselves in a position to make a run at it. But at the end of the road, the big bad wolf still exists. Patrick Mahomes is still there.
Yep. And look at Jonathan C. He says, now you're going to be a Bills fan? I'm like, no, man. I'm not going to be a Bills fan.
Joe's just jumping in the transfer portal. That's all.
Yeah, I'm entering the transfer portal.
D'Lo reaches out to us and says, wouldn't the Texans be the Sancha team if you've been a Cowboys fan your entire life? It's okay to have a different team, especially if they're the other side of the other part of the conference, right? So you don't want to have two teams in the same conference, right? So I can cheer for the Saints and I can cheer for Joe Burrow. I can be a Saints fan and cheer for the Texans because it's the opposite conference. That's the way that I see it and rationalize it in my head. Talking to James Pledger of San Antonio Sports, our extra innings from 6 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday.
We got another super chat.
We do, and it's because I brought up the Sohan apology form. Drew Show says, please. Mamu checks in and works better with Wemby than Mr. quote, look at me ever did. The Jeremy apologized to Mamu for taking his minutes is what he should apologize for. Okay, so I recently signed that form. I think I did it in pencil.
No, you did it in pen, and I have it right here.
Now I don't know if you do the story behind this pledge as to why I signed the form. It's because I took my dad to a Spurs game when we went to the one in Houston, and I got my dad fifth row seats to watch the Spurs play. Just he can see Wemby, and we're in the opposing team's arena, right? We're in Spurs gear where everyone else is wearing red and white. That's that game where he got into a dust-up with Amen Thompson, and he started blowing the kisses. They had to be separated from each other. And I said, okay, he's at least feisty. Okay, he won't back down when it comes to that. So I signed the form.
Because he blew that other guy a kiss.
Amen Thompson, he blew him a kiss like 3 times. And I got all excited about it because, it was one of those things because I'm repping the Spurs. That's a Spurs player right there, okay? No one messes with him. I can talk trash about him, but no one else can, right?
You need to tell Pledge what he said at that game. This is crazy, Pledge. Because
it's typical Jimenez. I mean, it's just flip-flopping on a tape.
No.
Man, you haven't called me a flip-flopper in a long time.
Yeah. No, but this is what he said, Pledge. He was out there watching the game in Houston, and he's in the fan section, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell him what you said about Tracy McGrady, that guy.
Oh, yeah. So there was a guy that was in front of
me. Your favorite former Spur?
Yeah. So there's this guy in front of me talking trash to me, going back and forth with me. He's a Rockets fan. I'm a Spurs fan. But we were being nice about it. We were being friendly about it. But, it was kind of like tongue-in-cheek, talking trash, not like mean-spirited. And he turned back around, and I said, I love your jersey, Spurs legend Tracy McGrady. And he turned back, and he got, just gave me a death stare. And then the guy, because he was 2 rows in front of me, the guy that was in between us looked at me and said, you guys should have won it for him in 2013. Should have done him that favor.
Yeah.
And then the guy wearing the McGrady jersey was there going, "Oh, I forgot he was on that team." He didn't want to think about it. It's kind of like Charlotte Hornets legend Tony Parker.
Well, it's kind of like Houston Rockets legend Avery Johnson.
Oh,
yeah,
brutal. Pledge, before we let you go, one entertainment topic before we let you go.
Yep.
So we don't have to run the bump, but if you want to show my screen there, Joe.
sure. Let me do that.
Look who made a surprise visit to LSU. If you don't know this, Pledge, my daughter went to LSU. She graduated there, cum laude.
Oh my God.
Travis Scott hanging out in the bookstore, having two performances there on the LSU campus. One on campus at the bookstore, another one at a bar that is like 100 yards outside of campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's publicizing his own fashion wear and stuff like that. So
Sure.
So he's doing a partnership with 28 different universities. He did the first one yesterday over there at LSU. My daughter was super excited because she was like, "I feel like
because she went there."
Yeah, and she lives 1 mile from campus still. So that being said, Scott was hanging out with Angel Reese and celebrated out there and was at the bookstore, which I've been to many, many times. That being said, is Travis Scott the most famous former UTSA student?
Yeah. I mean, I can't really think of anybody in a pop culture sense that really, when you talk about his shoes, the Jordan Travis Scotts, the Cactus Jacks, what he did with McDonald's and that collab, his clothes, his music, like just his sheer pop culture stardom. It's hard to really think of a UTSA person that may be even close to that type of. I know they've had athletes that have been, first round picks or big or massive, or even Frank Harris, but you talk about just overall, like, I tell you, this guy went to UTSA and you're like, wow, really? Like, there's no name that I can really think of, unless I'm forgetting somebody, that I would think is bigger than that of Cactus Jack.
It's hard to believe that he actually went there. Now, Sam Salinas reaching out to us saying, "Call it what it is, Mike. He was a UTSA dropout." That's right, because he got the record deal. He didn't drop out because he wasn't making the grade. He dropped out because he got the gig that he wanted. I'm looking at this website right now, ranking the UTSA alumni and former students.
I mean,
they have Michelle Beadle up there as in the top 3.
Cactus Jack's bigger than Michelle Beadle. I know she's massive here in San Antonio. I'm talking about a worldwide appeal.
That is James Pledger, San Antonio Sports Star. Tell us how we can get a hold of you and what you're working on these days.
What, you want my phone number or something?
Oh yeah, I mean, smoke.
He's gonna slide in your DMs, Pledger.
Pledger, I got your number, baby. I'm gonna get you shot after shot this weekend. You know what's gonna happen.
You can listen to me every weekday from 6 to 7 on Extra Innings with Pledger. I also produce the Blitz weekdays 2 to 6 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, also on our YouTube pages at SA Sports Star. You can get at me personally on X or Instagram or whatever. All my handles are the same, at I am Pledger. And yeah, you can catch me every once in a while right here on the Alamo City podcast as well.
Pledger is only a few years younger than me, and I feel like, compared to other people that are my age, I'm a young 47. No, but then I compare myself to Pledger, and it's night and day difference, man.
I still freak people out, like here at work, like they're like, "Oh, I had no clue you were about to," because they'll be like, "Oh, how old are you turning?" I'm like 43, and they're like, "No."
Pledger is about to be 43 in age, but he's 23 in spirit, my man. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, at one time we're gonna have to get you here in studio, Pledge. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Hey, see you this weekend, my man. Love you.
Later, Pledge.
Love you guys.
Pledge is such a great guy, dude.
He is.
Pledge is a great guy. And if there's anything I miss of San Antonio Sports Star, it's hanging out with the fellas out there, Pledger, Minix, Ryan Nagel. Rudy J. Rudy J is no longer there, but he was a good friend of mine over there. I miss that aspect of things and being able to go and hang out with those guys and being able to be a soundboard against each other. We'd hear one thing from one show and then it would bleed into the next and bleed into the next, and it was good to feed off of each other. But man, he's a good guy, dude. Pledger's one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a quick pause real quick and give a quick shout out to our boy Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LockedOnSpurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, Jeff was on a little bit earlier today, so we had a good time talking with him about all the content he has at kens5.com about the new proposed stadium there that's going to be going out on downtown. Institute of Texan Culture is being torn down. I'm glad that I didn't see a lot of pushback on it. When the initial talks were about this, Joe, social media, a lot of people were against it. But right now, I think people are resigned to the fact that this is probably the best thing for the city. The best thing for the city is to have an NBA franchise here. And you need to give them a new arena every 30 years. It is just how things work.
Yeah, you want to keep them.
Right. Now, speaking of which, the city of Kansas City in Missouri did not approve for public funds to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. And now the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs who have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, are there saying, well, we might not have to, we don't have to stay here. We don't have to stay here.
They can come to San Antonio. Weather's good.
Now, they weren't asking for a new arena. They were asking for renovations of Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah.
Which is different. It's not like they were asking for $1 billion facility. They wanted renovations to the old stadium, much like the Bears back in the day kept on doing Soldier Field and renovating an old stadium over and over and over again. Well, the city of Dallas has a mayor that has come out and said, well, why don't you come back home? The Chiefs are from Dallas. They were the Dallas Chiefs, and then they ultimately left, and then the new team that came in was called the Dallas Cowboys. So I know that Jerry Jones has pushed back on this before, but the mayor of Dallas is saying, the DFW area can actually manage two teams.
They can.
And I find that to be fascinating because people will ask the question, well, how is that even possible? Well, look at New York and LA. The New York area has the Jets and Giants. The LA area has the Chargers and the Rams.
Yeah, they have the Dodgers. They have the
Angels,
the Clippers. They have the Lakers.
And then New York has the Nets, and they have the Knicks.
Yeah,
they have the Yankees. They have the Mets. It is possible, but Dallas is that big of an area. Dallas is that rich of an area to make that happen. And I'm not saying it's going to, okay? But whenever they come out with these articles about expansion in the NFL, wouldn't that be Dallas as one of the candidates? Not just a San Antonio, but a second team in Dallas might be better. Drew Show reaches out and says, Rudy J is always doing the in the building from some hotel somewhere. He's taking
tons of side jobs. No, he's busy, man. He's out there on the road, but he's still doing the show, which kudos to Rudy J, man.
Yeah, and Rudy J has his own business. So, there's a lot of that going on. And it's funny because when I was at San Antonio Sports Star, I thought about a year and a half ago, we had a really good thing going, right? We had a really good thing going with R&R in the morning. You had my show at halftime, midday,
at noon. Yeah,
I think we had a really good thing going. And then what ended up happening was the station grew too big, and it became a regional station as opposed to a local station. And because of that, everything kind of got thrown out of whack. But I had a lot of fun over there, met a lot of good people, and made a lot of friends out there. But what I found interesting was everybody else had a side hustle.
Yeah.
And maybe that side hustle made more money. I'm a financial guy. I'm a retirement planner, retirement counselor, whatever you want to call me, right? Financial advisor. I do that. That's how I make my money. Jason Minix is in sales. Rudy J owns his own company. We all did some different things. Reinagel is a realtor. You know, you have a lot of different things going on with what we do. It's kind of like sports talk radio or podcasting. This is our side gig. This is our side hustle. By the way, before the show started, we were at 838 subscribers here on YouTube.
I think we picked up 1 or 2 more.
We picked up 2 more in the past hour. We are now at 840.
840. And to entice, us getting closer to 1,000, we're going to have the Spurs ticket giveaway probably tomorrow. I'll go ahead and do that on the air with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But next week, we're going to do another giveaway. So I'm going to be giving away an authenticated autographed Tony Parker photo.
Wow.
Along with the T-shirt that you can only get when you went and attended the game this year when they raised the jersey to the rafters again, because this time he was a Hall of Famer.
That's badass. We also have a couple of Samsung pads to give away, some tablets rather to give away.
Samsung's nice.
We have that. We've got 2 of those to give away. San Antonio Missions are working with us right now to see if we can get some missions tickets to give away. We should have next week. I'm pushing for Wednesday to have San Antonio royalty coming in. San Antonio royalty coming in for an interview. What are your thoughts on us getting UTSA's former quarterback?
Dude,
on
that's
board.
San Antonio royalty right there, man.
Frank Harris.
It would be cool to have Frank in here and have him talk about whatever he wants to talk about, where it's not just football. It could be whatever other sport or current event, entertainment news, something that he likes, Give him a voice.
Midtown Texas saying, speaking of 840, that's my credit score. MJ.
Oh, God.
You know what? Let me look at it. Let me see here. Let me go into Credit Karma right now. Let's see. What is my credit score today? My credit score today is, if you guys want to know, let's see here. What do you think? It is
720.
My credit score right now. Oh, it increased today. Breaking news. I've never seen it this high.
800.
It hit 800 today.
800.
Where's it at? There you go. Credit score of 800 today.
You're debt free, brother.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, I have a mortgage. I have a car payment.
Yeah. Most people do, but you don't have the other debt.
Right.
Yeah.
My business has been doing so well that I knocked all that crap out. And it's kind of freeing, man. It really is. And I never thought I'd ever be in this position to do that. Now I'm like trying to make moves. Now I'm looking at real estate. Now I'm looking at buying another business. Now I'm looking at other things to make money, because I like being my own boss. I don't ever want to work for anybody ever.
You can never go wrong with trying to buy, let's say, more real estate, because that's one thing that everybody always wants is land or homes.
Mario Cavazos is out and says you should get Sam Hurd, former Dallas Cowboy wide receiver. He has stories for sure. Sam Hurd was jailed for drug trafficking. Time for a tall tale.
Oh, no.
Again, some of these things I just remember when someone brings something up. I one time partied with Sam Hurd.
Really?
I partied with Sam Hurd, and I have Facebook photos somewhere in my phone. Sam Hurd was a celebrity waiter at an event that me and my first ex-wife went to over at the AT&T Center, now Frost Bank Center.
Yeah.
And he was a good guy. He was a nice guy. I realized he was from San Antonio. I think he went to Brackenridge High School, if I'm not mistaken. And he got to talking to me and my wife about, just stuff about life, living in San Antonio. And I asked him, I said, hey, he's playing for the Cowboys. And I asked him, when are you going back to Dallas? And he goes, I go back tomorrow, but I'm just hanging out here tonight. And I said, hey, well, if you're wanting to hang out, we're going to go karaoke at this bar right behind North Star Mall.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he goes, really? I'm like, yeah. Didn't think anything of it. He went on his merry way. End of the night, we're getting our jackets and whatnot. We're walking out the door. He comes up to me and goes, so this bar is right behind North Star Mall. And I said, yes. He goes, okay, I might be able to go. Whatever. My group, we get there, we're karaokeing. We've been there for maybe about an hour. And then all of a sudden we hear this loud noise outside. And it was this stretch limo, like this Hummer limo type of thing going on. And people were like running to the doors to kind of see what was going on because it was this big ass limo.
Yeah.
Out comes Sam Hurd. He walks in, comes on in, has a few drinks with us, sits down with us, sings several songs, sings like 2 or 3 songs, and takes off. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm staying at this the Embassy Suites right here by the airport. I'm taking off tomorrow." But yeah, I karaoke with Sam Hurd, and then like 2 years later, he got popped.
Wow. Tall tale.
That is true. That is true. Facebook photos. Don't you mean MySpace photos is what Sam says. Bite me. Drew Show saying I should never buy real estate in Texas because of squatters' rights. Dude, squatters' rights is interesting, man.
That's stupid, man.
It is stupid. You know what? Go file your squatters' rights. I'm going to go in there, drag your ass out, and beat you to a pulp, and then you can go ahead and call the cops on me. Squatters' rights. I agree with you on how stupid that whole thing is.
They showed ridiculous. Some squatters here. I think it was on the news recently where they were going into a home or getting in and out through a window.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, come on. Man.
And my question is, why can't you just like board up that window until they get the F out?
Yeah, you could just hire some people, go in there and take care of business, get them out of there.
Yeah, smoke them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Smoke them out. You know what you should do? Treat it no different than Guantanamo Bay. Just blast Metallica super loud until they leave.
I'd be out there in the yard, blasting on big old speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shine a bright light into there.
Maybe throw a rabid raccoon in the window.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny whenever I hear people say they have problems with squatters, I'm like, dude, you just aren't trying.
Yeah.
You're just not trying.
They don't want to hurt them. Well, you don't have to, but you can get them out.
This is my house, baby. This is my house. You can go squat, but you'll be squatting in a pool of blood.
Yeah.
The Valero Texas Opens today. First round. I'm going to be heading out there right now.
Yeah.
I got my shorts on and my polo.
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I'm dressed for it.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to join you. I was just texting the wife. She wants me to meet her up for lunch after all,
Yeah.
And then after that, I got to take her to the airport because she's going to be flying.
Oh, where's she taking off to?
Maryland.
I love Maryland.
She's going to go see her sister. It's a surprise.
What parts?
Ellicott City.
Ellicott City. Not familiar.
It's near Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah. It's real close.
I have some friends that are in the Navy, and they're over in Bethesda. It's very cool, man.
Yeah.
And that's the power of Facebook back in the day. I had a business trip about 7 or 8 years ago in Baltimore, and I mentioned it on Facebook, and a lot of my friends who were in the Navy, I didn't realize they were all stationed at the same place there in Bethesda, Maryland, were like, come visit us. And I ended up watching a Spurs game out there. God, this must have been around 2014 or so, because the Spurs were still a really good team back then, and the big three were still playing. But Maryland's great. The Gaylord Resort over there in Baltimore is really, really nice. The one in Dallas is really nice. The one in Grapevine.
Yeah, their city over in Baltimore, because Ellicott City is not far away from Baltimore. When you go to Baltimore and you go and check it out, they have the little bay and everything area right there, and they have where the Baltimore Ravens play and the Orioles play. It's like they're right next to each other.
Yeah,
it's a great little city, man. You just go in there and can walk around. It's a nice place.
Sam reaches out and says Frederick, Maryland. Very nice. Very nice ever since they caught the DC sniper, because that's where it was. Remember that, dude? Remember the DC sniper? It was the father and son.
Yeah,
they were going out just shooting people at random. They're at gas stations and they were pumping gas and washing cars and stuff like that. It happened in Frederick, Maryland, man. That was crazy. They called it the DC sniper, but it was the DC suburbs.
Yeah,
those are crazy stories.
I was in DC too when I went to go visit my sister-in-law, brother-in-law. Well, my niece, she was graduating over in Maryland, you know, last summer. So we went over there and we did the whole thing. We did the whole tour of Ellicott City. We did the old downtown, and the new area in Baltimore and whatnot. And then we made the trek to Washington, D.C. Got to hang out there for the day, see all the national monument, the Washington Monument and everything, White House and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Hey, I'm looking at tickets to go see Jazz Fest in New Orleans, Louisiana. which takes place April 25th through May 5th. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then again the following week on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It is jazz all day long from 11 to about 5 o'clock, 11 to about 6 or 7 o'clock, and then the headliners come on.
Nice.
And the headliners are not jazz related because you've got bands like the Rolling Stones, the Foo Fighters, Chris Stapleton is performing.
And that brother can sing, man.
Yeah, Neil Young is going to be performing out there. I mean, the Killers on April 26th.
Oh, that's where you're going to go with your daughter.
Anderson .Paak.
Okay.
Dude, I mean, this is really good, man. This is a really good event. I love music festivals. Going to go check that out. John Batiste, the Grammy winner, will be performing alongside the Killers. The Killers will be, and John Batiste are the two headliners. Queen Latifah is also performing out there. It's a very interesting, eclectic thing. Greta Van Fleet.
They're pretty cool, man.
They are. Heart. There's another band out there. Widespread Panic is also performing. So Trombone Shorty. A lot of interesting bands. Bonnie Raitt. Gonna go check this out, man. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire perform at halftime of the Saints game last year in New Orleans.
I think everybody's seen them because they even play at like if you're gonna have a Christmas party and it's part of a big corporation, they'll hire them to come out and be the entertainment.
Very cool. Well, I gotta head on out to the Texas Open. Everybody have a great day today. That's Joe Garcia. My name is Mike Jimenez. I have an 800 credit score. I'll see you guys tomorrow.